When I first started making product videos, I was so focused on the visuals that I forgot about this one key thing. Chances are, you're forgetting about it too. Now you're probably thinking,
What am I doing wrong?
to show you, we're gonna be taking a look at a recent ad that I made. More specifically, the sound design behind it. A good sound design makes for a great video, so you're definitely gonna wanna pay attention to these tips. And they're all so flippin' easy. Alright, welcome to Premiere Pro. You can see that I have my finished video in the timeline. I'm actually gonna go ahead and delete the music layer. So now we just have my finished video. First and foremost, we need some music. I actually found this super short 28-second long slide guitar riff, and I think it's perfect for this old western kind of video. So let's go ahead and slide that into my project, and you can see that it is way longer than the actual ad. Some of you might just say, just go ahead and delete that very last bit of the song and just fade it out. And I think that would be a great idea if it wasn't a terrible idea. By just fading out the end of a song, it doesn't really feel like the ad or music is coming to a close. You can even hear that there's about to be a downbeat in the music, and then the video just stops. What we need to do instead is find a natural ending. And what better place is there to look than the end of the song? Perfect. You can hear how the artist, whoever made this, makes that sound like the song is coming to a close. That is what we're looking for. So what I'm actually going to do is just drag the last part of this song into my timeline as well. The very last shot of this ad, this one right here, that's the hero shot. That's when I'm going to want to put the ending bit of the song. You can already see that I kind of have the spot marked when these need to match up. Fade this one in and fade this one out. And let's see how that sounds like. Now that I hear it back again, I actually want this to happen a little bit sooner. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring it back to this other downbeat and then delete kind of the rest of the top half and fade this out again. So what I want to have happen is right on this first downbeat, that is when I want to cut to the shot of the apple juice pouring. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a mark and then just match those two marks up, because that one represents the first downbeat, and then that is when these shots cut. Perfect. I think we're done with the music here. Now, obviously, we need a lot more than just some music to finish out this sound design. If I look at this first shot of the drop falling, I think a whoosh sound effect would work great for this. Like that right there, I think works out really well. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag and drop that into the timeline. Now this is completely unintentional, but if I were to play this sound effect with the music, it actually almost sounds like a water drop. Hear it. Hear that little high? So it works out. Now if I were to go on to the next shot of this apple juice pouring, obviously we need to hear some liquid pouring. I mean, it only makes sense, right? Here I am in Artlist. This is where I get all my sound effects and music. So I'm gonna go ahead and search pouring. I think all of those sound pretty good. So what I'm actually gonna do is download a lot of different pouring sound effects, because this is another hack that you definitely don't want to forget about. You want to layer your sound effects. It just makes your ad feel more alive and full. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag and drop this first pouring one into my timeline. There's too many high frequencies in that shot, and for a slow-mo shot, an easy way to make it almost sound slow-mo is to add a low pass filter. And what this does is it actually cuts out a lot of high frequencies, and this is what it sounds like with that. But I'm not gonna stop there. I'm actually gonna go into my effects panel and search parametric equalizer. This allows me to manually adjust all the different frequencies from low all the way up to high. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and go to the high section and take out a lot of those, and this is what that sounds like. By adding those sound effects, that actually takes me to my third hack. Most of the time, I'm never happy with the original sound effect that I downloaded. I'm always adding certain effects, messing with the EQs to really get the sound that I'm looking for. But anyways, going back to the second sound effect, I do need to still layer this one because it sounds a little flat. Let's go ahead and drag and drop this other one onto here. Go ahead and put it like right there, fade it in, and fade it out. Once again, there's too many high frequencies, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and do like the same effects on this other pouring shot. This time I might even boost the low frequencies a little bit. I think it could still use a low pass filter. And then another thing that I always like to add with slow motion is the sound of wind. I'm not sure why, but I do know that it just works. So what if I go back to Artlist and just search wind? All right, I think this top one works out pretty well. So I'm gonna go ahead and download that sound effect. All right, let's go ahead and drag and drop that into the shot and then just fade it in and fade it out like normal. And then following the same process that I've done for the other sound effects, I'm gonna go ahead and throw a low pass filter and some EQ onto that sound effect to make it sound lower and like it's slow-mo. That's a lot better. So with everything put together, this is what we have. Going on to the next shot, we have a close-up of this wood. I think some sounds of wood creaking would work really well for this. So once again, I'm back in Artlist and I'm gonna search wood creaking and see what pops up. Awesome, I think all those are perfect. I can definitely tell I'm already gonna have to throw a lot of sound effects on them, but you probably already guessed I was gonna do that anyways. This sound effect definitely ends a little bit too early, so I definitely am gonna have to layer them. Plus, layering just makes everything sound better anyways. Let's use the floorboard creaking wood and drag that in there. Once again, we'll fade that in and then fade it out. So for this very first one, let's go ahead and throw on a low pass filter. That's sounding a lot better, but I still think I'm gonna have to go into my EQ and take out a lot of those high frequencies. Okay, you know what? I actually don't really like that second one. So what I did is actually end up duplicating just the beginning part of this same sound effect, and this is what the wood ends up sounding like. Something else that I'm doing that you might have realized is I'm fading each sound effect in and out. But it's not just the fact that I'm fading them in and out, I'm also doing that before the actual shot appears. Now, what does this do? Well, for example, you can hear that wood come in just before you actually see the wood in the ad. And what that does is it really just helps tie each shot together. When your brain hears a sound effect that it recognizes, it just will make more sense when you see that next shot next. Moving on, we have another pouring shot. So what I'm simply gonna do you'll notice the transition from that pouring shot to the actual hero shot, there was a film burn. I think the best sound effect to use with them is a flame. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag and drop that right where we see the film overlay transition those two shots. Awesome. I don't even think that needs any extra work. I think that sounds great as is. Now, even with all these sound effects and music, there is still something missing. And you might be asking, what possibly more could you add? Well, what this is missing is some ambience. Here I am back in Artlist, and I'm gonna go ahead and search for some desert ambience because I think that would fit the overall vibe of the ad the best. None of these are super good. What if I were to search country ambience? Maybe that'll give me a little bit more of what I'm looking for. Okay, yeah, this one is perfect. Yellowstone ambience. Obviously, this needs to be very, very subtle, so I'm gonna lower this by probably 10 decibels at least. Now to make this ambience sound like it's almost further away, what I'm actually gonna do is search for, once again, parametric equalizer. To make something sound further away, what you wanna simply do is just lower the high frequencies and lower the low frequencies until you get this little hill. And this is what that sounds like. With everything put together, this is what the final video looks and sounds like.